So, once again, what do you believe about consciousness? Do you believe that it's in the brain, that it's part of the mind, that the brain and the mind are separate? Do you believe that it is in some pool of universal thought that's existed since the beginning of time? Research says there's no consensus on what exactly needs to be studied, or even if consciousness can be considered a scientific concept. In some explanations, it is synonymous with mind, while in others, it is considered an aspect of it. My message today is living in the fourth dimension. We are not going to discuss the arguments about the scientific definition of consciousness. Aren't you glad? We're going to look at the spiritual realms of consciousness and the four realms, if you will, that we typically experience in our human relations. Now, if you may be familiar with Reverend Michael Beckwith's Four Kingdoms of Consciousness. He's taught that for many years. And while I agree with his information and his premise, I don't agree with his word kingdoms. To me, kingdoms has a tendency to indicate a hierarchy. And my experience of consciousness is not, I go to one level and this kind of a thing. It's more of a spatial dimension, a spatial measurement, if you will, of expansion and contraction, because we move around in it all the time. We don't just go one place and stay there. The important thing to remember is that we do move around every day. And I'm going to give you an example of that a little bit later. It's based on how we're responding or reacting to our environment and our life situation. So the first dimension that I want to talk about is life by default. Life by default. Now, Michael calls this life happens to me consciousness. This is where we feel like we're a victim of life, of fate. We have no power. We have no choice. We are just at the mercy of whatever's going on. And we feel like bad luck lives here. If I didn't have bad luck, I'd have no luck at all. I think there's a song about that. That's where that all lives. This is where we feel like the world is unsafe. We feel like it's unfair. This is also where we allow our past to dictate our future. And this may be in the realm of familial experiences growing up. That happened, so that's how I am. It may be our belief in our DNA. Well, my folks and my grandfolks and everybody had this, so therefore I'm going to have that. It may be in our experiences, our history, our memories. This is where we can have that feeling of victimhood. Now, as it usually happens, Spirit is so generous with me that I get to live these messages before I get to bring them to you. So this, of course, did happen this week. And it happened on Monday. Now, I had some time off over the holidays, as it appears a lot of people did. And I was driving into the office and I was thinking about you all, and I was thinking about this message, and I was kind of preparing for it in my head. And, the car was on autopilot. And all of a sudden, I realized my exit was coming up and I needed to kind of re engage in what I was doing. And I did. And I realized I was in the center lane and I needed to exit right. So I looked in my rearview mirror and I thought I saw a car. So I kind of turned over my shoulder. And sure enough, there was a car there, just sort of in my blind spot where I couldn't really see it. And so I looked to my left to see if I could go around the car in front of me from the left. I couldn't. So I turned on my blinker to merge over to the right lane. I looked in my rearview mirror and nothing happened. They didn't move. So I tried to speed up a little bit. They sped up. I tried to slow down a little bit. They slowed down. They just had this little radar thing right in my blind spot. And I immediately went to dimension one. What are you doing? You're in my lane. What are you doing? I'm going to be late. I'm going to miss my exit. Oh my gosh, what are you doing? I speed up. I slow down. What are you doing? You. Blame. I went immediately into dimension one consciousness. This is how quickly we can fall. We can default into that life by default. It's happening to me. Why are they doing this to me? Why is everybody driving so badly today? Making it hard for me to get to my job. So, how else do we experience this? Have you ever heard someone else, I'm sure no one in this room would ever say it, but have you ever heard someone say, those awful corporations and big business, they just take advantage of everybody? Oh, the government, the IRS. Though, yeah, political systems, the insurance companies. You ever feel helpless? Ever feel like you're a victim of those people? Yeah, we can all feel like a victim sometimes when that happens. Like we have no choice. They have control. I have none. What am I supposed to do? Right? Growth from this victim dimension one consciousness begins when we ask, what can I do about this? What can I do about this? How can I help myself here? That's when we begin to pick our heads up out of being a victim and realize, what can I do? What can I do? Well, this is when my mind began to expand into dimension two consciousness after I had gone through my, 15 seconds of blame and victimhood. I moved into dimension two, and then I began to affirm that car was moving. I began to affirm that everybody was getting out of my way. I began to affirm that traffic was flowing smoothly. I began to command that car to move out of my way so that I would not be late and I could make my exit. I also began to feel that stress coming up in my body because I was not achieving what I thought I needed to achieve in that moment, which was making my exit. This in the metaphysical new thought realm in law of attraction practices. Many of us have studied those. We learn how to create and call in our good in this dimension too. And we experience the creative process, and it can be very empowering. This is where we discover that personal power and begin to realize that life happens through me. I'm sorry, by me. Life happens by me. I have control. I do it. And that's a good place. It's empowering. Our focus is on control. It's on willpower. It's on positive thinking, personal achievement. This builds our confidence, our self-discipline, self-reliance, and we gain a sense of personal responsibility through these practices. Now we have to be careful because this is also where perfectionism can live. And we can get caught up in perfectionism in this area. I have to do it myself. I have to be in control. I have to be in control. There are situations and circumstances in our lives where it's important that we are, right? It's important that we are. It's not a bad place. On the contrary, this is a place where personal power, and there are times that it works for us. This is where we create princes, palaces, and parking spots. We call in the one. We build our bank account. We build our investments. And we get that Doris Day front door parking that she always got in all of her movies. If you ever noticed that, she always parked in the very front of wherever she was going. And we create those. And that's all good stuff. And we're here to call in the good stuff, right? So this dimension two consciousness is not a bad place to be. It's a place of creativity, and it's a place of creation. In the science of mind, in this teaching, we teach you these practices. We teach you these universal laws and how to do this. And there's absolutely, again, nothing wrong with it, except it can become exhausting. It can become exhausting when we feel like we have to control every aspect of our lives and everything that goes into it. It can become exhausting. So I'm driving down the road. I'm continuing my attempt to change lanes. I'm continuing my attempt to control the driver behind me who won't get out of my way. And it's still not working. Now, the interesting thing about this particular exit, it's sort of at the top of a little hill. Not that we have huge hills in Arizona, but it's the top of a little hill. And it's also in a curve. And what happens on the freeway when we encounter a hill or a curve? Everybody slows down, right? Well, there's also an entrance or an on-ramp between where I was and where my exit was. It also was on a hill and a curve. So everybody's coming on really slow. So not only is everybody on the freeway slowing down, everybody on the on-ramp is on the exit ramp, the on-ramp is slowing down also. And so now it's really just this congested mess. And I can see my exit, but I can't see any way I'm going to get there. And I am getting a little bit beside of myself. So I got slow traffic and a hill. And oh my gosh, growth begins to happen when we are here, when we are not moving mountains in the time that we think we should be, that we begin to ask, what if I don't have to force it? What if I don't have to force it to make it happen? This is the question that helps us to expand into dimension 3. Life by alignment and design, which is what we're talking about this entire year, is like this idea of life by design. Michael says this is life through me consciousness. This is where we begin to realize that creation is in alignment with spirit and law. It's an alignment, not a forcing. It's an alignment. We open to inspiration. We listen for intuition. We surrender our ego, and we surrender to the divine right action, perfect right timing. We're allowing, it's a sense of openness and spaciousness, not forcing, not forcing. We become an instrument through which spirit expresses. We respond rather than react. In my case, I said, okay, I'll take the next one. It's no big deal. I might be a couple minutes late, but it's no big deal. I'll take the next one. I mean, it's the freeway in Phoenix, right? Every exit is what, a mile or two apart. I'm not on the turnpike and locked in for the next 57 miles. It's okay. Let go. And I did. I let go. And I felt this huge release in my body, physically. All that tension that I had built up about trying to make my exit just left me. And I released it. The shift in consciousness allows us to experience our unity in spirit. This is where faith rules. This is where we trust that the universe is for us and working through us. We get our egos way out of the way. It's not about that. We listen for guidance and we allow it to flow, and we follow it. Growth begins when we ask, what now, Spirit? What now, Spirit? What wants to express itself through me? Is there some reason I'm not supposed to be on that exit today? Is there some reason I'm supposed to be on the other road today? What now, Spirit? This question gives us a sense of peace. Dimension 3 may be actually where many of us hang out most of the time. It's where I was before I came up to my exit and noticed the traffic and everything. I was hanging out in Dimension 3, just thinking about the talk, thinking about you all and how we were going to present this, and trying to get my mind around that. And then wham, right down to dimension one. Like my spiritual practices, my personal life by design plan is what helps me to move more quickly through these dimensions and to not get stuck. To not get stuck. This is the importance of our maintaining a consistent spiritual practice. I look at it like continuing education classes. Anybody have to take those in their industry? Yeah, continuing education. You know, you wouldn't want to go to a physician or an attorney, dentist who's not keeping up with modern technology and the modern skills and the way that things work today. You know, we're not going to go to the doctor and ask them to bleed us like they did in the 1700s, right? So we want continuing education, and this keeps us sharp so that we're ready to face any situation. So that even if we get bounced into that dimension one consciousness of feeling like a victim, we can bounce out of it quickly, take control of the situation, and then release and relax into spirit. I'm not suggesting that dimensions one and two are bad. They are certainly not. They are certainly not. They serve a powerful purpose in creation. Dimension one has created a huge advertising industry. It has also created political systems and great employment for a lot of people around the world. Around the world. The political systems do good work at unifying nations and protecting nations, even if sometimes they appear corrupt, all around the world. The ad industry supports new products. What are new products? They are thoughts turned into things, right? How do we know about those if there's not some advertising or promotion going on about those? We may never hear about them. So there's nothing wrong with that. Dimension two has manifested wealth and abundance, healing, loving relationships, and new businesses, large and small. That's all good stuff, yes? When we live in dimension three, it doesn't mean that we stop seeing ads for new products. It doesn't mean that we forever leave feeling like a victim. I did it Monday easily. Boom, there and back. Sometimes victim energy can be a catalyst. It can be a catalyst to action, leading to organizations who are doing good work in the world. The important thing to remember is that in just a few seconds, literally, that whole thing I described to you took less than 1 minute. Less than 1 minute to bounce around in all of those realms of consciousness. We can move through those all day long, throughout the day, in and out. Somebody says something that hurts our feelings, we feel like a victim, and then we bounce right back out of it. Anybody? The key is to not get stuck. The key is to not get stuck. And unfortunately, there are folks who get stuck in the victim consciousness, or maybe they get stuck in realm two, or maybe even in realm three. So it's important to just stay flexible within all of that. Sometimes we need a pity party, don't we? We just need a good rant. Just get it all out. But again, don't buy a condo there. Don't move in. One and done. Move out, move on. Use your spiritual practices to expand into the next dimension of consciousness. And spiritual practice is what helps stabilize us so that we can move easily through those different dimensions. So dimension one is to me. Dimension two is by me. Dimension three is through me. What in the world could dimension four be? Dimension four is life by essence, or as me consciousness. As me. Some consider this enlightenment, a state of bliss. The science of mind, we say it's a realization of oneness. This is beyond our intellectual understanding of oneness. This is the embodiment of oneness. It's the realization of knowing oneness. It's where we experience no separation between me and God, between you and God, no separation whatsoever. It's when we know that we're an individualized expression of the divine. We know that. We live from that place. All of our actions are from love, compassion, from wisdom. This dimension is more about being than it is about doing. And this is where we experience being fully human and fully divine. Sounds like an oxymoron, but it's where we experience that. Holmes might describe it as cosmic consciousness. He said that was a perception of the whole. It is supreme intuitive knowledge of the divine order, beyond and above the intellectual faculty of comprehension. So it's not something we comprehend, understand. It is a place of beingness. It is a place of oneness. In the Hindu philosophy, Turiya is the fourth state of consciousness and is transcending the ordinary, waking, dreaming, and deep sleep states, representing pure, unchanging awareness that underlies all experience, a state of non-duality, bliss, and liberation realized through spiritual awakening. Often described as the silent witness or the ground of being itself, rather than a separate state you go to. And I think that's key. This dimension 4 consciousness is not someplace we go to. It's not a separation. As Holmes says, we live in God. We live in God. It is one and not separate. It is in us. We are a center in, it is not in us. We are a center in it. We are not one with God, but one in God. Subtle differences, but differences. We are a center in God. Thinking that we are one with God, as I was working on this, I had a little visual pop up in my head. It's like, okay, I'm holding God's hand. I'm one with God. And it's like, that's a separation. That's two, right? That's a twosome. Whereas one, I am in God. I'm in God. I'm not with God. I'm in God. This dimension 4 state of being is where the veil of separation actually disappears. It disappears. There is no separation. We become one in the one. Each of these dimensions or states of consciousness are not permanent locations. Even the most enlightened amongst us flipped the vendor tables at the temple and cursed the fig tree for not providing fruit when he was hungry. We also move among these dimensions all the time, all day long, depending on the circumstances that we're facing and our spiritual practices. Life by design is the movement from unconscious reaction to conscious creation, from living by default to living by design. As to my situation, as I let go, felt like Moses. The lanes opened and parted, the cars left, and I took my exit, and I was right on time. Our spiritual practices for this week. Notice as you expand and contract in these different dimensions of consciousness throughout your day, throughout your week. Just pay attention, be aware, focus on, we know what we focus on expands, focus on where am I, how am I feeling? Am I feeling like I'm a victim? Am I feeling like I'm the creative power? Am I feeling like I'm in alignment with spirit? Or am I in enlightenment and bliss? Where am I? Life by default, name the area of life where you've been reacting rather than choosing. ask yourself, what can I do about this situation? What can I do about this situation? Life by effort, by me. Notice where effort's turning into strain or control. Where does it feel hard to make it happen? Ask yourself, what if I don't force it? What if I don't force it? Life by alignment, as me. Begin each day with listening before doing. We do this through meditation and mindfulness. Ask, what now, Spirit? What now? And life by essence, as me. Rest in being one before taking any action. Just like a building needs a strong foundation to stand, your spiritual practices of meditation and mindfulness are the foundation for building your life by design. And so it is. And I'm going to actually open the Q&A this morning. If anybody has anything you'd like to comment or question about the 4 realms of consciousness.
Thank you. That was beautiful, Reverend Jill. This really doesn't have to do with the 4 realms, but could you explain what the difference is between soul and spirit? No. And how that all intertwines?
From the science of mind perspective, spirit is the all. Spirit is the all up here in this first dimension. That's everything. Soul is here. Soul is the law. It is the creator, if you will. Remember, all of this is God. All of this is divine. But we teach it in 3 steps so that we understand that. Science of mind puts the soul here. Soul is also subconscious. And the subconscious runs our lives because 95% of everything that we do happens from our subconscious and that we're not even aware of. It's beating your heart right now. It's breathing you right now. So that's the distinction that the science of mind makes, is that spirit is the creative, the divine idea, and then that the soul is the action or the law portion. But it's all still one. It's all still one part of it. And the same is within us. We've got mind that is creative, and then our that is the conscious part of creation, and then our subconscious takes that and acts on it and brings it into fruition, demonstration. Make sense? Okay. Anybody else? 4 kingdoms? Anything random? No? All right. Let us pray this morning. Would you join me? As we go within, just breathing in, recognizing that there is one power, one presence, one life, one infinite spirit that is the intelligence of the universe, this one and every other one. Recognizing that it is infinite creativity, that it is love, unconditioned and pressed down to overflowing. And that out of that, intelligence, love, and wisdom it creates of itself new expressions through which it experiences itself. And we are each expressions of that. We are each experiences of the divine. We are each individualized and unique expressions and experience of it. And we are one in the one. There is no separation. There is no God and me. There is just one. And so recognizing this unity that we are, I speak my word for and about all of us here today, gathered in the room, gathered online, and those listening later, knowing that we are connected in this oneness, that we are not separate, that there is an illusion of separation, but we're not separated by time or space. We are one. We are connected. We are whole, perfect, and complete. And I know that as we've gathered here today, it is by divine appointment, that there are no accidents, that we gather in this community to experience spirit, to experience each other, to share our lives, our love, to share this teaching, to grow and to expand our awareness in these multiple dimensions of consciousness, knowing that we can have our moments of victimhood right here, right now, and that every person in this room loves us anyway. It doesn't matter. Love is all there is. Whether we're in realm 1, 2, 3, or 4, or maybe there's a 5 and 6 and 25 we don't even recognize. There's always more. Always more. And so I speak words of blessing on us this week as we move forward out into our lives, knowing good is ours, knowing that we are supported in every action and activity that we undertake, knowing that we meet friendly faces everywhere we go, and that life is good. I know for anyone that has anything on their heart today, whatever they are seeking prayer for, that we lift it into the consciousness of this prayer, knowing that whatever needs to be revealed is revealed. If there's something that needs healing, it is healed. If there is more circulation and flow, whatever the need, we accept it as complete right here, right now. And it is with a grateful heart that I release this into the action and activity, knowing that it is already done. And we affirm this truth together by saying, and so it is.